I had never imagined the path my life was about to take as I stood, holding the pregnancy test, watching those two vivid stripes appear. The joy was immense, overwhelming. Maria and I had been trying to conceive for years, facing disappointment after disappointment. This moment, it felt like a miracle. "I can't believe it, we're actually going to have a baby." Maria's eyes shimmered with tears, her voice a mixture of disbelief and pure joy. We hugged tightly, the pregnancy test crushed between us, a testament to the struggles we had endured together. Yet, beneath my elation, a thread of anxiety tugged at me. I remembered the sterile rooms of the clinic where I had undergone numerous tests to determine the cause of our difficulties. The doctors had been thorough, leaving no stone unturned, and I was awaiting the results with a hopeful yet heavy heart. A week later, the phone call came. I was alone in our sunlit kitchen, the morning's newspaper spread out before me, the headline unread. The voice on the line was clinical, detached. "Mr. Sullivan, your test results have come in. I'm afraid the findings are conclusive. You are infertile." The word struck like a physical blow, snatching the breath from my lungs. Infertile? But how? The pregnancy test, Maria's joyful tears, what did it all mean? Doubts crept in like unwelcome shadows at dusk. If the child wasn't mine, then whose was it? Maria had always been the epitome of faithfulness, or so I thought. We shared everything, or so I believed. My heart raced, a painful squeeze tightening around it with each passing second. I confronted Maria that evening. The house was quiet, our dinner lying forgotten on the table as I placed the clinic's report in front of her. Her face drained of color as she read the words that had shattered my world. "Tom, I can't explain this. Please, you have to believe me. I haven't been with anyone else," she pleaded, her voice cracking under the strain of her emotions. But her words sounded hollow, false. The trust we had built over years seemed to crumble in an instant. Anger flared within me, hot and uncontrollable. "Then how is this possible, Maria? How?" My voice was a roar, filling the space between us with bitter accusation. The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and betrayal. I moved like a ghost through our home, each corner a reminder of a lie too big to comprehend. I couldn't look at her, couldn't fathom the depth of her deceit. And when the time came, my decision was made in the cold, clear light of my wrath. I filed for divorce swiftly, driven by a relentless desire for retribution. Maria's protests, her tears, her pleas for understanding, all fell on deaf ears. I was consumed by a need to make her feel the pain that was gnawing at my soul. As the gavel fell, sealing the end of our marriage, I turned away from her for the last time. There was no goodbye, no final words. Only the echoing void of a love that had been, perhaps, nothing but a well-crafted illusion. And so, I left, my heart hardened, the once bright future we'd imagined together now just a bitter memory. My path forward was unclear, but one thing was certain, Maria and I were strangers, our paths never to cross again in this lifetime. The weeks following the divorce are cold and grey, the winter mirroring the freeze in my heart. I have moved to a small apartment across town, a place devoid of memories with Maria. The walls are bare, the room silent, reflecting my inner void. One late, frosty evening, I sit hunched over my laptop, the glow of the screen casting shadows on the walls. I'm scrolling through endless forums, searching for anyone who has experienced a similar betrayal, seeking a semblance of understanding, or perhaps a way to salve my wounds. That's when an unexpected message notification pops up. It's from an old friend, Ethan, someone who had known Maria and me as a couple. "Tom, we need to talk. It's about Maria. There's something you don't know." His words are cryptic, urgent. Curiosity and a flicker of unresolved pain propel me to respond. "Can you meet now?" I type back, my heartbeat quickening. "Give me 15 minutes. I'll be at your place." The wait is torturous. My mind races with possibilities. What does Ethan know? My grip tightens around a mug of coffee, the heat barely penetrating the chill that has taken over me. There's a sharp knock on the door. I open it to find Ethan, his face grim, eyes holding a seriousness I've seldom seen in him. "Tom, thanks for seeing me on such short notice," he says as he steps inside, brushing off the cold. He takes a seat opposite me, his posture tense. "Ethan, what's going on? What about Maria?" He takes a deep breath, his eyes meeting mine. "Tom, I should have come to you sooner, but I wasn't sure how to say it. It's about the baby. Maria didn't cheat on you. She couldn't have." My heart skips a beat. "What are you talking about?" "The tests were clear. I'm infertile." Ethan nods. "Yes, but it's not what you think. Maria was part of a fertility study, experimental treatment. They used a donor. She wanted to surprise you, thought the treatment hadn't worked yet, and planned to tell you once she was sure." The room spins around me, the walls closing in. "A donor? She used a donor and didn't tell me?" The betrayal feels anew, a different shade but equally dark. "She was going to, Tom. She thought it would be a miracle, a solution to your problems. She didn't mean to betray you." Anger and confusion swirl within me. Why didn't she just talk to me? Why go behind my back? Ethan reaches out, placing a hand on my shoulder. "She was desperate, man. You both wanted a family so badly. She did it for you, for both of you." The conversation stretches into the night, each revelation a layer peeled away from the truth I thought I knew. By the time Ethan leaves, my mind is a tumultuous sea of newfound facts and old hurts mingling together. I'm left alone, the silence of the apartment louder than ever. Maria's actions, though misguided, paint a picture of a woman driven by love, not deceit. The thought gnaws at me, a complex knot of emotions difficult to untangle. Sleep eludes me that night. At dawn, I make a decision. I need to see Maria, to confront her, to hear her side of the story. Maybe then I can find the closure that has eluded me, or perhaps reopen a chapter one had hastily closed. The morning air bites at my skin as I stand outside the coffee shop where Maria agreed to meet me. It's been months since I last saw her, and the nervous energy is palpable, coursing through my veins with an intensity that makes my hands shake slightly. People hustle by, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Maria arrives, her appearance almost startling. She looks weary, the strain of past months etched deeply into her features. Yet, there's a resolve in her eyes that I haven't seen before. "Tom," she greets me, her voice a mixture of hope and apprehension. "Maria." My response is curt, clipped by the swirling emotions inside me. We order coffee, the mundane action a stark contrast to the tension between us. As we sit down at a secluded corner table, the first words stumble out of me. "Ethan told me about the fertility treatments." Maria flinches, as if the words are physical blows. I was going to tell you, Tom. I never meant for things to happen this way. Why didn't you just talk to me? Why go through all of this without even trying to include me in the decision?" My voice rises slightly, drawing a few curious glances from nearby patrons. "I was scared," she confesses, her eyes not meeting mine. "Scared that you'd say no, that you'd think less of me for not being able to conceive naturally. I thought if I could just make it happen, you'd be happy." "But a donor? You decided on a donor without telling me." I struggle to keep my voice steady, the betrayal sharpening my words. Maria finally looks up, tears glistening in her eyes. "I was desperate, Tom. I wanted to give you a child, a family. I thought it would bring us closer together, not tear us apart." The raw honesty in her voice pierces through the anger, sowing seeds of doubt in the fertile ground of my resentment. "And you thought deceiving me was the way to do that?" "It wasn't deception, not really. I just wanted to fix things before they broke completely. I was going to tell you, once I knew it worked." She reaches across the table, her hand hesitating in the air between us. I pull back, not ready to bridge that gap. "You chose for both of us, Maria. You didn't trust me enough to make that choice with you." The conversation turns in circles, accusations and defenses blending into a painful symphony. Eventually, Maria stands, her face a mask of resigned sorrow. Tom, I'm sorry. More sorry than you can believe. I just wanted us to be happy. I thought I was doing the right thing. Her voice cracks, laden with regret. As she walks away, the finality of her steps echoing in my ears, I'm left grappling with conflicting emotions. The drive for revenge that had fueled me seems hollow now, tainted by the shades of grey in Maria's intentions. Was it really betrayal, or a misguided act of love? The rest of the day passes in a blur, the confrontation replaying over and over in my mind. By nightfall, I realize something has shifted within me. The anger has ebbed, leaving a profound sadness in its wake. I need to make a choice. I can continue down the path of retribution, or I can seek a new understanding, perhaps even forgiveness. But first, I need to understand fully what forgiveness might entail, and whether the remnants of our shattered relationship hold any seeds that might still be nurtured back to life. As the days stretch into weeks, the silence between Maria and me grows, a chasm filled with unanswered questions and unresolved feelings. Despite the initial impulse to reach out and forge a new understanding, the seed of betrayal remains, festering in the back of my mind. The information Ethan provided keeps nagging at me, something about it not quite fitting together. Driven by a need for absolute clarity, I decide to visit the clinic where the fertility treatments were done. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, perhaps confirmation of Maria's story, or maybe just a final piece of the puzzle to help me move on. When I arrive, I'm greeted by a receptionist who looks up, startled by the urgency in my voice as I request details about the treatments Maria supposedly had. The clinic is upscale, the walls adorned with serene images of smiling babies and happy families. It doesn't match the turmoil churning inside me. I'm sorry, sir, but without authorization, I can't provide you with any information about a patient due to confidentiality laws, the receptionist informs me, her tone sympathetic yet firm. I understand, but it's crucial I find out. It's a matter of family, I press, feeling the edge of desperation creeping into my voice. The receptionist hesitates, then nods slightly, beckoning me to wait. Moments later, a doctor approaches, his face neutral. Mr. Sullivan, I understand you have concerns. Follow me, please. We move through a series of secure doors to a small office filled with medical books and papers. The doctor gestures for me to sit. Now, how can I help you? I explain the situation as concisely as I can, the weight of each word heavy with the burden of the past months. The doctor listens intently, nodding occasionally. When I finish, he sighs, leaning back in his chair. Mr. Sullivan, I'm very sorry, but it seems there's been a misunderstanding. There's no record of Maria ever being part of a fertility treatment here, experimental or otherwise. The room spins as his words sink in. No record? Was everything a lie then? Seeing my confusion, the doctor continues, however, there was a Maria Sullivan registered for consultation, but it was not for fertility treatment. It was a genetic consultation, primarily focused on hereditary conditions. The deception layers itself anew, deeper and more intricate than I had imagined. The lies weren't just about the treatment, they were more fundamental. Fueled by a new surge of betrayal, I thank the doctor and leave, my mind racing with the implications of this revelation. The drive home is a blur, each mile a build-up to the reckoning that awaits. By the time I confront Maria, it's evening. She opens the door, her expression wary. Tom, what's wrong? Cut the act, Maria. I went to the clinic. There was never any fertility treatment, I say, my voice cold, each word measured and precise. Maria's face crumbles, the facade finally breaking. Tom, No more lies. It was all a setup, wasn't it? Who's the father, Maria? Who? My demand is sharp, cutting through the last ties of our relationship. The truth comes out then, a torrent of deceit unraveled. The baby isn't mine, it's the result of an affair, a fact Maria can no longer hide. With each revelation, my resolve hardens. I channel my pain and betrayal into action. Over the next few days, I meticulously dismantle the life we built together. I expose the affair to our friends and family, ensuring Maria's isolation. I use my legal knowledge to freeze our joint accounts, leaving her financially unstable. As Maria's world collapses, I watch detachedly, the seeds of vengeance finally bearing their ruthless fruit. When the divorce papers are signed this time, there's no room for doubt or sorrow, only the cold finality of a door closing forever. In the end, Maria and I part ways, not as lovers or even friends, but as strangers defined by the scars of betrayal, each stepping into a future irrevocably altered by the past's shadows.